It's late. The ship is humming along at sea, somewhere between yesterday's port and tomorrow's, and you're out on the balcony because the air is right and the wake is beautiful at night. You lean forward on the railing, and then nothing. Someone is there, and then they aren't. The first thing you want to know in a situation like this is whether anyone saw it happen, because that single variable, witnessed or not, determines nearly everything about what happens next. Most people assume the ship is watching. Cameras everywhere, a monitoring center tracking the vessel in real time, an alert that fires the instant someone enters the water. That assumption is doing a lot of work, and it's only partly right. There are two versions of this scenario. In one, someone sees it happen. In the other, nobody does. The choreography that follows looks very different in each case, and the distance between them is measured in time and in ocean. Start with the version where someone sees it. A passenger on an adjacent balcony, a crew member making late rounds on the open deck. They see it happen, they shout, they call it in, and within seconds the bridge knows. The officer of the watch immediately broadcasts what most lines call the Oscar signal, or some equivalent code since terminology varies by cruise line, the internal command for man overboard sent over the ship's crew radio system. Every crew member within earshot stops. The security team moves, lookouts go to stations, eyes go to the water at the last reported position. And here's where most people imagine the ship slamming to a stop and spinning around to retrieve the person from exactly where they went in. Here's what actually happens. The helmsman begins executing a man overboard maneuver. In reduced visibility or when the exact timing is uncertain, that's typically the Williamson turn, a precise multi-step sequence specifically designed to bring a large vessel back to the track line it just sailed. Hard rudder one way, then the other, then a reversal onto the reciprocal course. The whole sequence takes many minutes to complete, and a ship cruising at 20 knots covers significant ground before it can safely return to position. Many minutes sounds fast. At sea, it is. But in that time, the person in the water has drifted. Current moves them. Wind presses them. By the time the ship completes the maneuver, the entry point is behind them, and physics has been doing its work the whole time. So, the rescue boat that launches doesn't go to where someone went in. It goes to where the math says they are now. The bridge is running those calculations in real time, feeding updated coordinates to the boat crew, adjusting as conditions shift. This is not improvised. The bridge team drills this. The rescue boat is always rigged and ready. Now, the survival window. It's almost entirely determined by one thing: water temperature. In the Caribbean in summer, the ocean runs warm, 80-something degrees, and a person who stays calm can survive for hours while a search unfolds. In the North Atlantic in winter, the math is brutal. Cold water draws heat from the body and shuts down muscle function in the extremities fast. Cold incapacitation, the loss of the ability to swim, can set in within minutes, even for someone in good physical condition. The geography of your itinerary isn't just scenery, it's a survival variable. In the witness scenario, with a fast response and warm water, the odds are real. The system was built for exactly this. But the system was built on one assumption: that someone was watching. In the other version, nobody sees it happen. The ship keeps sailing. Somewhere on board, a seat goes empty at dinner. A cabin mate wakes up to find the bed hasn't been slept in. Someone doesn't show up to meet family at a port excursion the next morning. When a guest is reported missing, the ship's security team opens a protocol that works backward. They pull RFID data, the access point records generated by the keycard system, which logs when a card opens a cabin door, enters a restaurant, checks into a venue. They pull relevant CCTV footage and review it in sequence. What they're assembling is a timeline, and that timeline doesn't produce a timestamp. It produces a window, a span of hours bounded by the last confirmed digital trace. Which raises the question every family member in that situation is already asking: how long before anyone knew? Realistically, hours, sometimes many. The The detection system in the unwitnessed case is not a surveillance net, it's the social fabric of the ship. Your family noticing an empty seat, your cabin mate finding it odd, a crew member on rounds noting an absence that doesn't resolve. For solo travelers with no companion, the window before an alarm is triggered can be structurally longer. There's nobody whose job it is to notice you're gone. By the time the ship knows where in the night this happened, the search area is not a point. It's a radius measured in miles. The USCG, the U.S. Coast Guard, which coordinates in American waters, or the relevant Maritime Rescue Coordination Center on international itineraries, may be bringing in helicopters, fixed-wing aircraft, additional vessels. The scope of what's now in motion is several orders of magnitude larger than the witnessed case rescue boat deploying from the stern. And then there's the question that tends to surface later, usually quietly among the family, the question of who decides when the search ends. Not the family. The captain, in direct coordination with the Coast Guard or the relevant Maritime Rescue Authority, holds the authority to suspend the active search and resume the voyage. That conversation happens at the command level with accumulated data on survival probability, elapsed time, water temperature, sea conditions, and search area covered. The family is informed. They do not hold a veto. And when the decision is made, the ship turns back toward its course, while the other 3,000 passengers on board, most of whom heard only a brief announcement about a maritime emergency, go back to dinner or the casino or sleep. The compartmentalization isn't callous. A ship has to keep functioning. Its operational systems don't pause. But sitting with the image of it, the ship running normally while a search resolves somewhere out on the water, tends to stick. One practical note, the USCG search and rescue operation carries no bill for the family. SAR operations in U.S. waters are government-funded. Whatever civil questions follow, jurisdiction, liability, lives in a separate legal space shaped by the ship's flag registry, and it's a long way from the scenario itself. Here's the scale of all of it. Across the major cruise lines, around 19 to 25 man-overboard incidents are reported per year. The CLIA average across a recent 10-year period sits around 19. Set against millions of passengers and thousands of voyages, it is genuinely rare. The protocols exist because maritime law and SOLAS, the International Safety Convention governing passenger vessels, require them, and because ships have been running these procedures long enough that they've become genuine muscle memory. The technology is improving. Newer ships carry thermal camera arrays and AI-powered detection systems that can fire a bridge alert in seconds, regardless of whether a human witness is present. The fleet is not uniform. A ship launched 10 years ago and one launched last year may have meaningfully different detection capabilities, but the direction is clear. So back to the original question. Would someone notice immediately? In the witnessed case, yes, within minutes. In the choreography that follows, the signal to crew, the turn, the rescue boat deploying toward a calculated position rather than a fixed point, is practiced, rehearsed, and ready. In the unwitnessed case, not immediately, maybe hours, and the search that follows is a vastly larger operation working against a vastly harder set of variables. Which means the most important man-overboard detection system on a cruise ship isn't the thermal cameras, and it isn't the CCTV network. It's the other passengers. The person on the balcony next to yours, the crew member making slow rounds at midnight, the family member who notices the seat is empty. The ship has invested in the technology, and the technology is getting better, but it has also built a floating city dense enough with people that someone is almost always nearby. That social density is part of the safety architecture, not a backup to the system, part of it. Next time you're out on the deck late and you see a crew member walking the railing line, moving slowly, not in a hurry, you'll know exactly what role that person is playing. That's not a nighttime stroll. That is the detection system. That's another one for the cruise files. If you want to learn more about what goes on behind the giant cruise ships, everything from the scams on board to the secrets below deck, subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.